chapter. Our chapter was founded 42 years ago, and today we are delighted to host this District II meeting for our 10 sister chapters. Following today's program by our chapter member, Dr. Sandra Hand, all the chapter regents will receive an email attachment produced by the CDC that should be shared with your chapter. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our District II Director, the other Ruth Edmondson Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Regent. Thank you for your introduction, Madam Regent. Ruth Swan Johnson of El Dorado Chapter has the distinction of being the hostess of our very first Zoom District II meeting. How wonderful to see all of you and experience our unity in the face of such overwhelming obstacles. How many of us have even heard of Zoom before this pandemic? I had not. We are truly blessed that no matter what the challenge there is, someone in DAR who can sort out the difficulty and help us with the solution. I want to greet you, for I am delighted to be here. See your shining faces in your squares and experience the leadership that makes the Daughters of the American Revolution such a vital organization. I want to thank Celeste as our VIS board member for setting up this Zoom presentation, our parliamentarian Sandra Parker for doing the due diligence on the development of Standing Rule number 9 and her helpful input on this meeting script. I also want to thank our secretary, Sally Holcomb, for her input on the meeting script. We want to have an orderly meeting, and it is better to have a team to make sure the meeting is ordered. I value greatly the assistance I have been given. Please mute your microphones unless you are speaking, and silence all other electronic devices. Just a ritual to perpetuate the memory and spirit of men and women who achieved American independence, to promote an enlightened public opinion, and to foster patriotism and love of country. These are the objectives of our society, Daughters of the American Revolution. Please rise for the opening ritual. The scripture and prayer will be given by District Chaplain Danielle Eisen. Danielle.
Thank you, Madam District Director. As we gather here today as members of DAR, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Danielle. The Pledge of Allegiance, the American's Creed, the preamble, and the singing of the national anthem will follow, and they will be presented by Zoom. So please participate as the venue appears.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The American's Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. The Preamble to the U.S. Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Thank you. Please be seated. We'd like to introduce and welcome our state and honorary officers. The State Regent, Susan Broderick, will bring greetings. Susan, are you muted?
My apologies, Madam District Director. Still getting used to Zoom. It's wonderful to be home with my District 2. I have a fondness for District 2 daughters, as you know. Love being with you all, and it's great to be here this morning. You have a huge attendance this morning, Madam District Director, and are to be congratulated. I miss the buzz, the energy, the spirit when we're all together. But I know, don't ask me how, but I know that it's coming, that we will be together soon. And I can't wait for that day when we can all be together, when we can be shopping at our opportunity tables and just enjoying the friendship. My greetings are a little bit longer this morning because I have two topics that I want to cover. Some of you in your chapter meetings that I've attended may have heard this before, so please have patience with me because there are members in the district that haven't heard this. As you've no doubt heard, the National Society has resigned Tomasi as a DAR approved school. For our California State Society and for several other state societies, this change involves more than just a state regent's project. This state regent will be working with the Finance and Budget Committee to review our trusts and endowments, our sponsorship of the California Pouch Cottage, and will be working with her board in regard to changes in our state regent's project. For many daughters who have been supporters of Tomasi for 101 years, this is a very difficult time. Here is what we know. This is an impoverished community. We know that 60% of the children are reading below grade level, that 67% of the area's children have experienced trauma, and that 93% of students do not have access to after-school programming. We know that early childhood learning centers with evidence-based curriculums and certified teachers make a difference in promoting kindergarten readiness, decreasing behavioral issues, and setting children up for success. We know that after-school programs with evidence-based supplemental curriculums, STEM's lab activities, and JAC-style programs teaching key citizenship values and tutoring in math and reading help children learn self-confidence, explore career pathways, and increase the possibility that they will attend college. Tomasi does offer these programs to their students. While Tomasi will no longer be considered a DAR-supported campus on a national level, Mrs. Van Buren, in response to a question that this officer raised, and in her blog, has stated that states, chapters, and individuals may continue to support the ongoing programs at Tomasi DAR School at their own discretion through other committees such as Community Classroom, and I would also add through literacy promotion. Wish lists for needed supplies and information on bridge scholarships may be found on the Tomasi website. Please feel free to reach out to this state regent rather than Facebook or GroupMe pages for any further questions or comments. One other item of importance to bring to your attention, daughters, is that the California Wildfire Fund is again open for your donations of gift cards and Bed Bath & Beyond certificates. We currently have 2 daughters who have lost homes in the recent fires. Susan Clark, Region of Santa Rosa chapter, who I just saw in the District III meeting, and Martha Vallejo Magedigan from Presidio chapter, who not only lost her home, but all of her research on California history, as well as her DAR American History Award and the medal she received at state conference in 2015. I am happy to say we'll be re-awarding these at the 2021 state conference. In closing, our friendship, the service that we give, and our belief in our country during both steady and unsteady times is truly the glue that keeps us together and moving forward. I'm looking forward to the days when we can be together again, and I do believe that it's coming. Thank you, District II daughters, for all that you do, for all that you continue to give, and for all that you are. I miss you, but I know that we can and we will rise and shine in service to God, home, and country. Thank you, Madam District Director.
Thank you, State Regent Susan Broderick. Next, we will have greetings from Honorary President General Dorla Dean Kemper.
Madam District Director, here I am again, this time I'm zooming in on District 2 daughters to say how much I've missed you. We as daughters have always been willing to carpool and drive hundreds of miles just to be together. It's fun to share our work as volunteers in our community, in our state and national affairs. At the same time, we want to comfort those friends with personal problems, and we want to hear the joyful stories of celebrations. A good hug can express warm friendships, and oh, how I miss seeing all of you in person. Let me thank you, Ruth, and your board for all you've done to make this meeting happen. This is not the ideal way to plan and conduct meetings, but for now, it's the only way. It is necessary to inform daughters of the National Committee instructions and the goals they are expected to achieve in this very unpredictable year. Our leaders are spending untold hours preparing for these meetings. They hope to inspire and motivate all of us to give our full support in accomplishing these goals. Our state regent, Susan Broderick, and her board have inspired us with their Zoom plans. They've made every effort to change, adjust, and communicate. It's now up to us as the members. Our stewardship is necessary if we are to perpetuate the patriotic spirit of our American heritage. I'm sure our district director, Ruth Johnson, and her board are well prepared for this meeting. So enjoy the program, and you have my very best wishes always.
Thank you, Honorary President General Dorla Dean Kemper. The rest of the ladies I will introduce, and please wave from your box as I introduce you. Honorary President General Beverly Moncrief. State Vice Regent Sharon Moss. State Recording Secretary Wendy Malone. State Corresponding Secretary Emily Bowling. State Organizing Secretary Dawn Bird Barra-Savoy. State Treasurer Christina Ramos. State Registrar Robin Hurwitz. State Librarian Debbie Foley-King. Immediate past District II Director Susan Brooking will bring remarks.
Last term ended too abruptly. This past district director just wasn't confident enough back in April to host the term's final district meeting online. Sierra Amador chapter was gracious in putting aside all their beautiful plans. The paperwork got done, but the job just didn't feel finished. But here we are in a new administration, and it's time to look towards the future. It's been this district director's honor and pleasure to serve District 2, and definitely a pleasure now to be able to pass the gavel to your new District 2 director, Ruth Edmondson Johnson. This past director wishes for you, Ruth, the amazing support and friendship built during the 2018-2020 term. You and the district have my support always. Thank you, Madam District Director, for asking me to bring greetings. Enjoy your meeting.
Thank you, Susan Brooking, immediate past District 2 Director. Past district directors, please wave to us from your boxes. We appreciate your service. Now we are going to have our official installation.
Celeste, can we go back to full view? Good morning, ladies. Because we are able to do this on Zoom, I've asked State Vice Regent Sharon Moss to participate with me in installing the district directors. Mrs. Moss?
Thank you, Madam State Regent. Will the newly elected District 2 officers please stand and adjust your screen so that we may see your faces? And will the officers please unmute your microphone? Everyone else should remain muted.
The districts are of vital importance in a state as large as ours. The California districts were created for the purpose of strengthening chapter interest and for the promotion of a fuller understanding of the state and national objectives through the discussion of directives from the state and national societies and the formulating of plans whereby the chapters may carry out these instructions. These are not simply fancy words. They come from the CSSDAR bylaws, passed back in 1972. Our districts are here to disseminate information to all of the chapters in an efficient manner. On behalf of the membership of the California State Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, it is my pleasure to extend congratulations and kindest wishes to each of the newly elected District II daughters. You have been duly elected to district office in the California State Society, Daughters of the American Revolution. You have been chosen to represent the members of District II and to lead them. You are accepting the responsibility of fulfilling the duties of your office and to working with the members in your district to further the historic, educational, and patriotic objects of the society. They have faith and confidence in your leadership. When you take your vows and oath of office to serve, you signify your desire to contribute to the ideals and objectives set forth in the bylaws and policies of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, and the California State Society. We trust that you recognize the honor and responsibility that you are assuming. Ruth Edmondson Johnson, as District Director, you are to preside at all meetings, to act as liaison between your chapters and the State Society, to make yourself and to make your knowledge available to the chapters in your district. You are also to appoint the required district representatives to committees, as well as visit each chapter in your district.
Carol Ann Nolan, as Assistant District Director, you will preside and perform the duties of the director in her absence and perform such other duties as ordinarily pertain to the office per your district standing rules.
Danielle Eisen, as District Chaplain, you are to lead the devotionals for each district meeting with an invocation, a meal blessing, and a benediction. You may lead a memorial service to remember deceased members as requested. And you may send appropriate cards and notes to members who are sick and bereaved.
Sally Holcomb, as District Secretary, you are to take the roll call of chapters at the district meeting, record the minutes of the meeting, archive the approved minutes, and make sure a copy is sent to the State Vice Regent. You may be requested to prepare ballots for elections, count ballots, and read results.
Patricia Warren, as District Registrar, you will be notified when prospective member names received by the State Membership Chair are sent to the appropriate region coordinator and the chapter or chapters to which the prospective member is assigned. You will be notified where appropriate when an SAT Genie is assigned to begin work on the prospective member's application papers. You will receive monthly reports from the region coordinators in order to follow up with the chapters to make sure that they have invited the prospective member to a meeting and to inquire about the status of the application process with the SAT Genie and/or the chapter registrar. The district registrar should report to the state membership chair and the region coordinator as to the status of the prospective members. The district registrar should also conduct training for the chapter registrars as needed. If you, the officers of District II, gladly and proudly accept the office to which you have been elected, please stand, raise your right hand, and keep it raised until you have answered the questions I shall ask you. The appropriate response to the questions is, I do. Do you accept the responsibilities and duties of the office you now assume?
I
I do.
Do you promise faithfully to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, to seek its observance by others, and to respect its flag?
I do.
Do you promise faithful loyalty to the bylaws of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, and the California State Society?
I do.
Do you promise faithfully to perform the duties of your office to the best of your ability and understanding, God being your helper? do.
I do.
You may lower your hands and you may be seated. Would the district members please stand and raise their right hands and unmute yourselves? You have heard the vows of your newly elected officers, and there is a part each of you must take to assure a successful term of office. Will you stand? Will you have? I'm sorry. Raise your right hands and answer the questions I shall ask you. The response is, I do. Do you too promise faithfully to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the bylaws of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, and the California State Society?
I do.
I do.
Do you further promise to cooperate with all of these officers to the best of your ability, God being your helper?
I do.
You may lower your hands and you may be seated. As acknowledged in Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 23, you shall be careful to perform what goes out from your lips, just as you have voluntarily vowed to the Lord, your God, what you have promised. May we pray. Heavenly Father, bless these women who have been elected to office in our society. Give them wisdom and understanding and a desire to become familiar with all the work of the Daughters of the American Revolution and to serve with unfailing loyalty. As we look to these new officers for leadership, we pray your guidance for them. May your inspiration be with the members so that they willingly assume their share of responsibility, giving assistance as needed, and may this society continue to be a power for good. Help us to remember that all good comes from you. Amen. Congratulations, ladies, and thank you, Madam District Director. Wishing you and your board a most successful term of office, and I know that District 2 will knock it out of the park. Thank you.
Thank you so much, State Regent Susan Broderick. I'm going to ask the district board now to please wave as you are introduced from your boxes. I'm the district director, so I'm waving. Okay, and Carol Ann Nolan, District 2 assistant. Would you take wave, please? And Chaplain Daniel Eisen. Thank you. Secretary Sally Holcomb. Registrar Patricia Warren. Parliamentarian Sandra Parker. Now I'm going to ask all of those who have a who are state chairs and district representatives, all of you, and please wave to us from your boxes. So I know there are always a lot of you. I miss being able to see all of you in person. Thank you. All of you who are chapter regents, please wave to us from your boxes. We will hear your reports as part of the business meeting. Okay, moving right along to the minutes. The minutes of the January 25th meeting hosted by El Tullian chapter were approved by committee. This director appoints Dallas Love, Jessica Roberson, and Rosemary Manning to read and approve the minutes of this meeting. Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
Thank you, Madam District Director. Chapter regents, when your chapter is called, please list yourself. If your vice regent is present, please list her, number of members present, and number of guests. Captain John Oldham chapter.
Cynthia Eberhardt, Regent, Sally Ramsey, Vice Regent, Emily Bowling, and Millie Green. And if there are other chapter members present, I apologize, I didn't see.
Thank you. I think we're all in the same position, Cindy. We all aren't quite certain who's here, but we're glad you're all here. So let me repeat that again. We have regent, vice regent, and 2 members, or a member and a guest.
2 members.
Thank
One
you.
more member.
Pardon me?
I have one more member from Captain John Oldham.
Oh, hi, Bonnie. Didn't see you.
Okay, so 3 members.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, as my mother-in-law used to say, moving right along. So, okay, Chief Solano chapter.
Yes, ma'am. We've got regent, vice regent, and 6
Wonderful,
members.
thank you. El Dorado chapter.
Ruth Swan Johnson, you need to report.
I'll come back, Madam Director. Okay. El
Okay.
Toyon chapter.
Gail Woolley, Regent, my first Vice Regent. Cherie Finley is here, and we have a Director, Brenda Siglock, and also we have another Director, Marilyn Rousey, and I believe our historian, Cheryl Funds, is here. I just have audio, so I can't see who else is here. So if you're from El Torreon, we welcome you. We're glad you're here.
I'm guessing you're saying regent, vice regent, and 3 or 4 members.
Yes.
3 or 4 members.
Yes.
Which is it? 3 or 4 members?
4.
Thank you. Sorry. Immigrant Trail chapter.
Regent, vice regent, and 4 members.
Thank you. Okay. General John A. Sutter chapter.
Regent and 4 members.
Thank you. Gold Trail chapter.
Regent, second vice regent, and 8 members.
Wonderful. Thank you. Lake Tahoe chapter.
Regent and vice regent.
Thank you. Rio Cosumnes chapter.
We have regent, vice regent, and 5.
Thank you. Sacramento chapter.
Regent, second vice regent, and 4 members.
Thank you. Sierra Amador chapter.
Yes, we have regent, first vice regent, I believe second vice regent by phone, and of course, District II Director, Ruth Edmondson Johnson.
Okay, thank you. El Dorado chapter, do we have a count? Madam Director, I'll have to get that later, I
Okay,
guess.
all right.
Okay, I'm now going to call the roll of the officers. Madam Director, Ruth
Present.
Johnson. Assistant Director, Carol Ann Nolan. Chaplain Danielle Eisen. Ladies, we need to unmute.
Present.
Okay. Registrar Patricia Warren.
Present.
And Parliamentarian Sandra Parker.
Present.
Thank you, ladies, very much. Thank you, Madam Director.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Do we have a quorum?
We definitely have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go ahead with the business meeting. We're going to go ahead with district officer reports. Sally Holcomb, District II Secretary, do you have a report?
I do. I have a short report, Madam Director. Thank you so much. What I wanted to do was to express my appreciation to all of the chapters and all of the district officers. We put together a roster of all contacts in the district during the summer, and we've been revising it since that time, and people have been very helpful with providing the information. I also appreciate the promptness with which all of the 250 word reports and the scripts for the slide presentations to come have been presented to me. So thank you all very, very much. Thank you, Madam Director.
Okay. Thank you, Sally. Celeste Cox, would you give us our VIS report?
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I got multiple computers. That's why to do everything today. The VIS report, I got every chapters turned in. We got district representatives turned in. So we're doing pretty good. I think the reports turned out really well. I think the presentations turned out really well. So I'm really happy that everyone came together. And like I said, VIS, if anyone needs anything, please contact me. And I think we're doing well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Celeste. And also thank you for setting up this beautiful meeting and getting all 90 of us on so that we can hear and see and take part in. Thank you. Jessica Ray, our junior report. We have a dynamite group of juniors here. Jessica? Is Jessica here, or did she need to just unmute?
I think we have that as a report. The
okay,
video report.
Good morning, District 2 daughters. I'm Carol Ann Nolan, co-chair of DAR Schools Committee. As many of you know, Tomasi School was recently resigned as a DAR school. This decision was made at the national level, and for more details, please go to the national website. As disappointed as we all are about Tomasi, we still support Kate Duncan Smith DAR School and the 4 other DAR supported schools: Berry College in Georgia, the Crossnorth School and Children's Home in North Carolina, Hillside School in Massachusetts, and the Hindman Settlement School in Kentucky, all of which need and would welcome your ongoing support. A tangible way to show your support of all DAR schools is to purchase this beautiful DAR Schools Sunfish pin. 100% of all proceeds go directly to fund the needs of all DAR schools. This pin can be ordered from our own CSSDAR web store for $25 plus $5 for shipping. Thank you, District 2 daughters, for your ongoing commitment to education and for showing you're hooked on DAR schools.
Thank you, Madam District Director.
Thank you, Carol Ann.
Committee promotes American history by honoring significant historical people, places, dates, and events through our American History Essay Contest for students in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. This year's essay contest theme centers around the Boston Massacre, remembering its 250th anniversary. The essay contest theme.
Good morning, District 2 daughters.
Thank you, Madam District Director.
I'm Carol Ann Nolan.
Carol,
because I did nothing to change.
Celeste, we're having some scramble here.
The American History Committee promotes American history by honoring significant historical people, places, dates, and events through our American History Essay Contest for students in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. This year's essay contest theme centers around the Boston Massacre, remembering its 250th anniversary. The essay contest theme, deadlines, instructions, supplies, forms, study guides, and FAQs are all available on the members-only NSDAR and the CSSDAR American History Committee web pages. I call your attention to the red arrows pointing to the and History Study Guide. This is a great resource for you, the teacher, parent, and the student. It is important that the deadlines are adhered to avoid disqualification of a student's essay. I remind you of two important deadlines quickly approaching for this year's American History Essay Contest. First, schools must submit the students' essays to your chapter's American History Committee chair by November 7th. And second, your chapter must submit the chapter's winners along with the completed judges' forms to this district chair before December 5th. If after reviewing the committee pages you have any questions, or if you need my address to send your chapter's winning essays, please do not hesitate to contact me at cpethdar@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolyn. Laura Trimberger, District 2 Good Citizen Chairman.
The DAR Good Citizen Program and Scholarship Contest is up and running in District 2, with 9 of our 11 chapters participating in the program this year. The COVID-19 pandemic has presented quite a challenge for many of our chapters' DAR Good Citizen Chairmen, as all of the district's high schools are now utilizing virtual or hybrid learning. Because of this, some high schools that have typically participated in the program in years past have chosen not to participate in it this year. In order to facilitate the new COVID-19 recommendations for social distancing, National has set new guidelines for the proctored essay portion of the scholarship contest. While a few of the District 2 chapters have elected not to participate in the scholarship contest, most chairmen are working diligently with their high school staff on implementing these new proctoring changes. All in all, District 2's DAR Good Citizen chairmen are working hard this year to continue contact with the high schools, to encourage the schools to support a DAR Good Citizen, and to proctor the scholarship essay contest within the new guidelines. District 2 is expecting to award a total of more than 24 DAR Good Citizen Awards this year, with the majority of those competing in the scholarship contest. This chairman is optimistic that District 2 will have a strong DAR Good Citizen candidate to recommend for the state competition in the spring.
Okay, thank you, Laura. That was a good report. Jessica Ray, District 2
Hi,
Junior
I'm
Representative.
Jessica Ray, the District 2 Junior Rep. We have about 80 juniors in the district. We want our juniors to feel valued and be involved in the society. Reach out to the juniors in your chapter periodically to see how they are doing. Encourage them to follow the state's junior membership Facebook page for information on state and district events. Consider matching your juniors with a DAR mom who can mentor them and teach them about the society. Recognize the great juniors in your chapter by naming a chapter outstanding junior. It's on the CMR. Other ways to support junior membership are to purchase products from Junior Shop. The new suffragist pin is now available and it's absolutely lovely. Let me know if you'd like an order form and a catalog. We have great products that you can put in new member welcome kits. You can also think about which teachers you would like to ask to apply for a $500 classroom grant. The application should come out in the new year. Also, you can provide support to Fisher House, this year's National Junior Committee project. We have one right here in our district at Travis. Let me know if you'd like to see their wish list. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jessica.
Good morning, District Director and ladies.
Celeste,
What in VIS?
Do you have another?
As the Volunteer Information Specialist Committee are ladies that have a talent for computer and technology skills. on the chapter, district, state, and national level. What do we do with them? Let me tell you. What does a chapter VIS chairman do? They do so many things. They help with a chapter master report. They help with electronic newsletters, whether to create them or just to distribute them. They help with Facebook, whether it's your public or your private pages. They help with your websites. There's no limit to what they can help with technology. Please, ladies, use your ladies to tap into them. There is no limit to what your chapter can do with technology. Virtual meetings. That's our goal of what we're going to talk about today. If you go into the CSSDAR members only website and go under committees and click on the VIS tab, you'll see the link to the 2020 council presentation given by State Chairman Joe Olson. It's a phenomenal presentation. It also lists here all the different guidelines of what's going on for your websites. It also lists all the different chairmen that you would need to contact or could contact for help with your chapter in any VIS situation. Also national, in their members only section, under committees, you're going to click on DAR Leadership and Training. Once you click on Leadership and Training, you'll have all these shortcuts on the right-hand side. By clicking on Remote Meetings and Socials, oh my gosh, you'll have so much here. There's Remote Meetings and Socials. It gives websites, it gives PowerPoints, it gives webinars, it gives so much information of what you can use to run a virtual meeting and how to do it with ease. Another thing on virtuals is online etiquette, online meeting tips, and online host tips. What will help so people can see you, they can hear you, everything that you're going to need to run your meeting and have it run a little bit smoother and a little bit easier. Excuse me. Also, use a laptop. Do not use a tablet to run your meetings. A laptop or desktop are the best way. Obviously, finding the best signal, maintaining eye contact is also the best way, so people see that you are engaged and know what's going on. These can be all found on the national website. Also, be prepared. You can have as seen here, is a PowerPoint presentation that everyone can follow along, see what's going on, and know what's coming up next. Another way is this one right here, which is done by Canva. It's a little bit brighter, a little bit cheerier, but both are well done, and both can be followed by the members that are watching on the Zoom meeting. Be mindful of time. This just keeps it going and keeps it flowing. People are distance learning, they're working from home, they're on the computer a lot, they want to be engaged, and there are many Zoom meetings going on. So we want to do our best to be mindful of our chapter members' time. Lastly, this is just a little tidbit I want to throw in. Jo put this in her presentation. If you didn't already know, Office Depot has a non-profit rate members. So we get
She'll come back. It's just buffering.
We have Ann Chambers, who will give us a 250 Revolutionary War Patriot story. She's our new 250 representative.
Thomas Galbraith, Revolutionary War Patriot. Thomas was a miller. He was born in Ireland and migrated with his family to America as a young child. They probably migrated for religious reasons. They were Quakers. They settled in Pennsylvania. The Irish were welcome in Pennsylvania, but the only land available was on the Pennsylvania frontier. In the case of Thomas's family, this was Northampton County. The frontier settlers preferred the long rifle because it was accurate at greater distances, although slower to load than the musket. This became an important point in Thomas's Revolutionary War service. The 1st Pennsylvania Regiment was founded through the Congressional Resolution of June 14, 1775, which authorized 10 companies of expert riflemen to be raised for 1-year enlistments as Continental troops. Thomas enlisted in 1775, and he was discharged on July 21, 1776. He served under General Edward Hand, another Irish immigrant. Their standard weapon was the long rifle, which had greater range and accuracy than the muskets used by most of the British Army and Continental Army, but less weight of shot, slower rate of fire, and were without bayonets, making the regiment unsuitable for line of battle. Dr. James Thatcher, a young doctor from Barnstable who observed the regiment during many of its battles, provided this description of the riflemen. They are remarkably stout and hardy men, many of them exceeding 6 feet in height. The men are remarkable for the accuracy of their aim, striking a mark with great certainty at 200 yards distance. At a review, a company of them, while in quick advance, fired their charges into objects of 7 inches diameter at the distance of 250 yards. Their shot have frequently proved fatal to British officers and soldiers who exposed themselves to view at more than double the distance of common musket fire. The regiment saw action during the New York campaign, also the Battle of Trenton, both the first and second, and the Battle of Princeton. Following the Revolutionary War, Thomas returned to his trade as a miller. He married Elizabeth Hayes on May 30, 1779 in Bedford County, Virginia, and they moved to Greene County, Tennessee, where they applied for and received a land bounty. Here, Thomas partnered with John Crockett, father of Davy, to build a grist mill. Unfortunately, the mill was washed away in a flood shortly after it was completed. Thomas's future milling efforts met with more success. A few years later, he built a mill to manufacture nails from wrought iron, a great cost savings over the traditional method of handcrafting by blacksmiths. This was a boon to settlers building in the newly opened lands of Tennessee.
Thank you, Anne. Now we'll go on to the chapter regents reports.
Madam District II Regent, Captain John Oldham is happy to report that the chapter is in good health with 113 members. Madam District II Regent, Captain John Oldham is happy to report that the chapter is in good health with 113 members, 12 associates, and 7 perspectives. Among our activities this year, 2 of our chapter daughters participated with our Historical Society to honor Nevada City suffragist Ellen Clark Sargent with a DAR bronze plaque in celebration of the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. Our Vice Regent planned and executed a fun Zoom chapter social where we played DAR bingo, wore funny hats, and learned about DAR. Our chapter found a way to take a virtual float picture for Fall Council at Memorial Park in Grass Valley. Captain John Oldham's daughters rang bells in Nevada City on Constitution Day. Captain John Oldham chapter can and will move forward to rise and shine in service to America and our community.
Thank you, Cindy.
Good morning, Madam Director, District 2 officers, fellow chapter regents, daughters, prospective members, and guests. The Chief Solano chapter has adapted and is doing its best in this unique COVID environment to continue the work of the AR. In June, chapter member Bonnie D. Michelle was awarded first place for her instrumental entry entitled Daughters, Prayer, and Preservation March at the first ever virtual Continental Congress. This is the second consecutive year that Bonnie has been awarded first place in this division. Well done, Bonnie. We had a road trip to the Benicia Arsenal Hill Cemetery in September. This cemetery is a new location for the Wreath Across America program, and our chapter is leading the way by being its location coordinator as well as its sponsorship and crew. We also used the opportunity that day to create our virtual float entry for Fall Council. On September 17th, some of our members met in Vacaville at a library to join hundreds of groups across the country to celebrate our Constitution by ringing bells. Among the attendees were 2 prospective members, a future daughter who isn't quite a year old, and a friend of a chapter member who we have now added as a prospective. Going forward, we hope this bell ringing that starts Constitution Week becomes a chapter tradition like so many other chapters all across the nation. This concludes this officer's report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Angie. Ruth Swan Johnson.
Good morning, ladies. My name is Ruth Swan Johnson. I'm the regent of the El Dorado chapter. This first picture shows 6 of our 11 new members. They received their numbers beginning on March 5th. Only 6 of the 11 are photographed here. Congratulations to Ann Chambers, our chapter registrar, and her volunteer researchers. Graph number 2 shows our Bobby Bennett sewing masks that were delivered to Kaiser Hospital. Our chapter had several members volunteering to sew the masks. Photo number 3 shows chapter members gathered to present a certificate of appreciation to our lovely junior member, Maddie Sullivan, for her contributions of food and clothing to the pantry of Georgetown School for their needy children. Photo number 4 shows members Janice Pringle and Louise Gibbs and myself with the 43 winter jackets our chapter donated to the Placerville Military Stand Down for veterans in need.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
District
you, Ruth.
Director.
El
Hello,
Toyon.
I'm Cherie Finley, and I'm reporting for Regent Gail Woolley, who made El Toyon chapter history by being the first to take the oath of office via telephone during our first ever Zoom chapter meeting. Her Hodar took this picture as it happened. El Toyon chapter celebrated their 119th birthday with the birthday fairy, who was on hand to deliver packages to our members as they drove by and rolled down their windows and received packages of balloons and goodies and party hats. Our community classroom committee adopted the 5th grade class at King Elementary School in South Stockton, where 90% of the students come from families who are 120% below the poverty level. We provided boxes of sunshine full of school supplies, and many chapter members have become reading buddies to the children via Zoom. For our DAR Day of Service, El Toyon went to East Union Cemetery in Manteca and cleaned headstones, weed whacked, and helped out in the office. We were greeted with a luncheon afterwards, and a good time was had by all. Despite or in spite of COVID-19, El Toyon chapter daughters continue to rise and shine for DAR.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. Immigrant Trail, Regent Carol Zobel.
Madam District Director, the Immigrant Trail Chapter Good Citizen Award winner Kate Hayden also won at the district and state levels. We're very proud of her accomplishments as a high-achieving student, her community involvement, and her outstanding essay. The Immigrant Trail chapter members have continued to provide service during the quarantine with collecting shoes for Souls and collecting items for our active military through Project Patriot. Over 500 pairs of shoes and 17 Project Patriot boxes have been sent. Our chapter members have embraced the virtual platform with our district director as the installing officer at our first ever Zoom installation. We've been continuing with monthly Zoom meetings as well as a Zoom social tea. Many members were able to virtually attend both the Continental Congress and the state conference. Chapter members have sewn fabric masks for healthcare workers as well as family members. My 2-year-old grandson refused to wear a face mask until I made matching masks for his parents as well as a cape for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Excellent report. We have Jessica Roberson, General John A. Sutter.
Regent of General John A. Sutter chapter. My first photo is of the chapter at state conference in March, when we saw our chapter member and friend, Susan Broderick, be voted in as state regent for the 2020-2022 term. The second photo is of the chapter officer installation in May. What an exciting 2 years that I'm looking forward to with this board. The third photo is of a Heritage Committee scrapbooking event, which was led by Committee Chairman Danielle Eisen in July. The last photo is of our new member installation, which was led by State Regent Susan Broderick in August. Thank you, Madam District Director and daughters.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. That's a good report. Pat Peterson, Gold Trail chapter.
Hi, I'm Pat Pedersen, Regent of Gold Trail chapter. To celebrate 4th of July, Gold Trail Daughters visit the Yountville Veterans Home with pizzas and other goodies made by our members. We miss seeing you, House J. And since March, Gold Trail Sewing Angels made 4,500 masks and donated them to the VA Medical Center in Sacramento and other essential workers in our local area. Gold Trail Daughters invited the Sacramento CAR and SAR Color Guard member to celebrate Bells Across America. The Constitution Week Committee delivered flags, posters, and other DAR literature to 15 local schools. In September, Project Patriot Committee assembled baby items into glorious baskets for soon-to-be moms at Travis Air Force Base. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Good report. Lake Tahoe chapter, Rosemary Manning.
Thank you, Madam District Director. In April, we participated in the Sugar Pines Foundation Planting Day, where we planted the seedlings at a beautiful trailhead. In June, with funds from an El Dorado County community grant and the City of South Lake Tahoe, our historic preservation project had ground penetration radar completed on the Al Tahoe Historic Cemetery. With only 7 surviving headstones, the GPR equipment identified 115 graves.
Wow.
Also in June, we honored our 2 recipients of the Good Citizens Award with their U.S. flags. Our high schools did not have the in-person awards event in May, so we met informally to honor these students with their flags. September 1st saw our members set up the Constitution Week display in our local library. During the month of September, over 4,000 people came into the library and hopefully enjoyed our display. Madam District Director, it is a pleasure to serve the Lake Tahoe chapter and our district.
Thank you, Rosemary. That was an excellent report. Rio Cosumnes chapter, Regent Dallas Love.
The Rio Cosumnes chapter was organized on August 5th, 2020, with 27 members and is the newest of 115 chapters in California. Our chapter theme is Bloom Wherever You're Planted, and we are eager to bloom and grow DAR in the Elk Grove area. Our chapter bylaws and standing rules committee met weekly in August. To keep the CDC health guidelines, we met outside at our parliamentarian's home, kept a safe distance, and of course wore our masks. On September 17, members rang bells individually due to COVID restrictions to celebrate Bells Across America in commemoration of the signing of the U.S. Constitution. Dallas Love is pictured ringing a school classroom bell from the 1880s. On October 2nd, Regent Dallas Love and historian Deanne Mosley delivered 5 pounds of pop tabs to the Ronald McDonald House, which recycles pop tabs and uses the proceeds to subsidize the cost of families staying at the facility. Our National Day of Service project supported the Chicks in Crisis Shelter in Elk Grove, a nonprofit organization that keeps babies out of foster care and assists in adoptions. Members donated diapers, children's socks, underwear, and hygiene products. Thank you, Madam District Director.
Thank you, Dallas. Good report. Janet Fulton, Regent Janet Fulton of the Sacramento chapter.
Thank you, Madam District Director. I'm Janet Fulton, Regent of the Sacramento chapter. Our daughters participated in Bells Across America, ringing the mighty fireman's bell at the Sacramento Historic City Cemetery 13 times in honor of the original 13 colonies, followed by reciting the preamble to the Constitution. The Sacramento chapter adopted a little free library on the grounds of the Consummate Community Center where we meet in person, when we meet in person. It is adjacent to a school within a lower income neighborhood whose library is currently closed. We held an induction ceremony and presented past Regent Emily Brown with her past Regent pin at Memorial Grove within William Land Park, space dedicated to the Sacramento chapter almost 100 years ago and planted with trees from each of the original 13 colonies. Thank you, Madam District Director.
Thank you, Janet. Good report. Colette Ferguson, Regent Colette Ferguson of the Sierra Amador chapter.
Sierra Amador chapter, NSDAR, presented by Colette Ferguson, Regent. Here we have Sierra Amador daughters at Mount Pisgah Church in Jasper County, Mississippi, graveyard cleaning at this 199-year-old church. Far right is our member, Ruth Edmondson Johnson. Next, we have Sierra Amador member Lee Lawson celebrating Constitution Week with her very own bell ringing ceremony. And here we have Janet Van Mastrit and Lee Lawson displaying Janet's beautiful handmade quilt. This quilt was later won by Lee Lawson in a quilt raffle for our chapter. And finally, here we have our wonderful Wreaths Across America committee. In the back, standing up, we have Barbara McMahon, Ruth Edmondson Johnson, and in the front, sitting down at the left here, we have Nancy Meese and Janet Van Mastrit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colette. That was a good report. So now we're going to, actually, all the reports were really intriguing. I loved them. They were great. Thank you. So we're going to have a little coffee break, and then we're going to have our program. So if you need to refill your coffee cup or use the facilities, this is a good time. Or stand up, which is what I'm going to do.
How long is the break?
About 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Ruth,
Yes?
it's Sally. I wanted to ask a question. Celeste actually gave 2 reports. What was the first one? I didn't have that down in my schedule. I just had the one she was doing for VIS.
It was also on VIS.
I just did. I don't know if she can hear me or not.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So the first one was VIS, but the second one was also.
I don't even know how to mute it because I didn't do it in the first place.
No, Ruth, I'm talking to Ruth Edmondson Johnson. I'm trying to set up something for the minutes. This is Sally.
Sally, thank you. I'm talking with Celeste and I'm trying to figure out how to unmute myself and mute myself because I didn't unmute myself in the first place.
Okay, you're fine. We can hear you.
Would you like me to give my report when we come back if I leave myself unmuted?
Sure, Ruth.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm sorry, Ruth Edmondson Johnson.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we had one that was more what does VIS do? And
yeah, that was the second one.
Yeah, that was her second one. And her first one was more district report, what she did.
I'm sorry, was what?
More district report.
Oh, district, I beg your pardon. Okay, so it was, okay. All right, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
How do I do that?
No problem.
There was a little note that came up on my picture and
I think we got some really good ideas from those reports. I love that junior mom idea.
It's kind of a take on the old buddy system.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully it would work better for the juniors than it kind of petered out in Ann Locke's chapter because there was such a distance between individuals, you know, and so they didn't always come to the meeting but it's you know, it might work for the juniors because they might do this thing virtually instead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me.
So 1 more minute. So we all ready to proceed? Let's come back to the meeting. So we're going to have Ruth Swan Johnson give her chapter report now before I have her introduce our speaker. So Ruth Swan Johnson, would you unmute yourself and give your report, please?
Thank you, Madam District Director. Happily, I would like to say I'm here, Ruth Swan Johnson, Regent, Catherine Graham, Vice Regent, and 17 members. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Regent. That's much appreciated. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead and introduce our speaker. Ruth Swan Johnson.
Yes, Madam Director. The El Dorado chapter is very happy to present our own Dr. Sandra Hand, who will give a very important report on women's health, cancer in women. And also, I would like everyone to know that following the program today, or following the meeting today, I will email to the state officers or all of the district chapter regents a CDC guide that Sandra has found for us to share with you about her report. So look forward to receiving that in your email.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Hand, you're on.
I need you to undisable.
Pardon?
Oh, that says the host has disabled my screen. Can that up?
Okay, we can hear you.
But can you see the presentation?
No. Celeste,
Sandra, you should be able to share now.
All right. Can you see the slides?
not yet.
Celeste, we're going to need a handoff, I think. If you cannot see the slides, I'll simply say a verbal talk if that's acceptable.
That works for me. Celeste will work out the slides and go ahead and tell us about it.
Okay. Well, I thank you for having me. I think this is, although topic is about cancers that are in the smaller proportion of the ones that experience, it is a very important topic because these cancers are obvious, not like a melanoma where you can see developing in normal fashion, or a colon cancer that you can colon cancer screening program, and I hope all of us that are of an age to do so in that. Pelvic cancer is much more hidden, but nonetheless, every 6 minutes, a reproductive system. Actually, one in during their lifetime. We expected to see 92,000 cases. Those 18,000 expected to die. I don't have the statistics for that. That is what our predictions are. 5 types of these cancers: ovarian, uterine, was in 3 different flavors, if you will, endometrial, adenocarcinoma, cervical cancer, vaginal cancer, and vulvar cancer, and these for the areas where they occur. This slide we'll get as a handout. It is our only picture. As a physician, many of my conferences have had lunch hour presentations, which were full of slides of anatomical. I promised I was not going to do that to you today. Let's start with ovarian cancer. This is the number in women. It is the most cancer, and it's usually because you don't really know about it until it's already advanced and many times has metastasized sites. It's usually diagnosed around the age of 60 or older, and it hits about 75 women lifetime. In 2020 already, we've had 22,000 women diagnosed and expect that as many as 14,000 will succumb to it. There is no definite in every case. Way back in the 1960s, talcum or asbestos, they weren't really sure, was associated with the use with ovarian cancer. So people using talcum powders were more likely to have ovarian cancers. Now that only amounts to 7 because it's not a real common cancer in the first place. A sizable number of people where they found it, and so they could finding that who used it, likely they were to have cancer. Eventually, it became fairly clear that asbestos was the actual culprit, and it's found naturally with talc deposits. So in making the talcum powders, it just got scooped up with it. Johnson & Johnson, which is a major producer in talcum powders, denied for years that their product had it. Eventually, a lawsuit claimed that they not only knew, but that they, and this jury awarded 14 women that actually brought it to trial. They awarded plaintiffs several $1 billion based on the fact that covered up the information. You will find that many baby powders and talcum powders now contain cornstarch, and as far as we know, there's no association with any cancer. So to do using baby powder all these years, then I want you to really be careful and pay attention to the signs and symptoms that might show up should you get ovarian cancer. Abdominal bloating or swelling based on the fact that you've got some kind of a growth or tumor that's displacing side. That will also cause you to feel full when you've been eating. You may have weight loss from the cancer itself or gain from the tumor mass and fluid. You may have area. And there may be changes in bowel habits, such as constipation. One of the things that, although it's listed as more signs and symptoms, is one that a very close personal friend of mine had her presenting symptom, and that was swelling of the legs. So one of the problems that COVID has presented us with these days is longer to our doctor's office, and a lot of these kinds of rather subtle symptoms are just part of the doctor does an exam and, oh my, you have some pretty swollen ankles there. Or, you know, it doesn't feel comfortable for very long. And we're not having those conversations with our doctor. So much of us are talking to our doctors this way, and it becomes a much more formal type of. So ladies, it's really on us. We need to be, we're having things that just don't seem right. Don't hesitate to bring those up to your doctor or to and say, you know, something's just not right. Here are other things that the risk factor for ovarian cancer. We've got the hereditary also with ovarian cancer. Unfortunately, males can be a carrier, and so it may skip a generation. The BRCA gene, we're all familiar with breast cancer and Angelina Jolie. There's a genetic mutation that can occur on that gene. Everybody carries the gene, the particular mutation that caused the cancer. Again, older women are at higher risk, and in this case, Asian women are more prone to ovarian than others. Other things that can cause ovarian cancer is to hormones, such as control hormones, hormone replacement, especially in progesterone, such as would be taken after menopause, early onset of periods or a delayed menopause, which means longer exposure to your natural hormones. Same thing with never being pregnant, because pregnancy stops ovulation, reduce your estrogen hormones. and the other two can fertility treatment and a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, where you have an excess of can be a risk factor. Unlike so many, alcohol is not a known risk factor. Your glass of wine and not so much out of ovarian cancer, but breast cancer is still on a risk list. Moving on to uterine cancer, this is the most common pelvic organ cancer. Types depending on the area of the uterus that is. Endometrial cancer is the common of them, and it affects the lining of the uterus. And it most often shows up as abnormal bleeding, bleeding that occurs after menopause or prolonged periods or bleeding in between. Cancer located in the glandular tissues, and this is now deeper in the wall of the uterus, is adenocarcinoma. And sometimes it's just found incidentally when they go in to do a hysterectomy because of fibroid tumor. Nowadays, sometimes having removing the tumors and finding adenocarcinomas that were just getting started. Symptoms are similar to endometrial cancer. And then very rare are that wall of the uterus. Signs and symptoms, like I mentioned, don't want to ignore: heavier than usual periods, bleeding other than when you're on your period, bleeding that recurs after or with intercourse, pelvic pain, largely because of the tumor displacing, causing swelling in the abdomen, and it may be asymptomatic and sometimes found incidentally when something else causes them to take a look in there. Risk factors, again, periods, never pregnant. Obesity, interesting, is a producer. Anybody who has lost a lot of having hot flashes as it begins to decrease.
Sandra, you're muted.
Thanks. Dog barking, sorry. Sandra, if you can get that unmute button. Sorry, we had a dog barking. We were trying to.
You're still muted. I think you're good now.
Now am I back on with you?
Yes.
All right. Back to my husband. My tech report says Alt Tab. Now that just wants me to join a meeting. Hang on, folks.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Good.
All right, now back to screen. So I'm not next up, but come on. Screen.
Sandra, we can see you and we can hear you.
Oh, we can screen share now. We can maybe see the slides. No?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, is get us into screen share. My tech support is here to help.
You are screen sharing, it says. You are not muted and you just fine. So I just need to get you back onto your
PowerPoint.
presentation. Yes. Where'd your presentation go?
Good question.
Your collection is closed, my love. Well, for whatever reason. Oh, bugger.
Hang on, folks. Sorry about the delay.
So back to your travel drive. Yeah, I guess
That's
open
it.
that up, huh?
Yep.
Go back to your slideshow. You slow. You may have to
tab through
tab till you get to where you want.
Two more, I think.
And let me cancel this log there.
Right. Are you seeing the slides now as well?
Yes, fabulous. It's working well.
All right.
They are.
Thank you so
Isn't
much. Isn't he fabulous?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we got through most of uterine cancer. Thank you for bearing with me. The treatment for uterine cancer is pretty difficult. Caught early, the surgery is curative, which is really good. Sometimes if there's a suspicion that it might have spread beyond the uterus itself, they will advise chemotherapy and radiation. 5-year survival rate is 95%. Very, very good for a cancer. So we are really going to spend a lot of time with treatment. I'm more interested in trying to help you identify trouble when it's on the way and be able to get in to talk to your doctor. All right, moving on to cervical cancer, closer to the outside of the body. This is the 13th most common cancer in women. However, that is probably old news. In 2018, we had 13,000 diagnosed with 4,000 deaths, but a lot of cancers got on their years before. It's mainly women. It hits mainly in the age group 35 to 50. And because of our routine testing, the number of cervical cancer since when I was in medical school in the long ago has been reduced almost 75%. A big problem is the inequality that we have to access and get not being able to get regular pap smears or regular testing has caused us to still be a problem among us. That is essentially preventative. Sign symptoms not to be ignored: vaginal pain with intercourse or an abnormal pap smear. If your doctor says your pap rate normal, don't ignore this. And I can tell you, as a doctor who took care of a lot of women, sometimes it would take a year to get somebody back in because they just didn't want to know. Or they were just too busy. A lot of them just told me they really didn't want to know and they were scared. This is something that you really do need to follow up on if you get pap smear wasn't normal. For a long time, we thought cervical cancer was due to frequency of sexual and maybe sexually diseases like chlamydia or gonorrhea. In the 1990s, they found that it was linked to a virus, human papilloma virus. There's many different 9. It's everywhere. This virus is everywhere. It can cause warts on the skin. It can cause warts in the brain, like the inside of your mouth. It does affect the mucous of the cervix, the anus, the throat, and the mouth. It is not known to be genetic, and it infects both sexes. The association with sexual partners was a vaccine. This vaccine has been out now for probably 15 to 20 years. And it's best given before there's any possibility, which would mean sexual intercourse. It is usually a 3-shot regimen. Both boys and girls from the age of, hopefully prior sexual activity, get the vaccine. It's now approved actually for use up to age 45. It's also, if you have several negative pap smears and your human papillomavirus are now doing with pap smears are negative, they might go ahead and say, okay, go ahead and get the vaccine. If you have a new sexual partner, the vaccine is recommended. And anyone who has the onset of AIDS, the immune deficiency, it's recommended. And unfortunately, only about 30% of girls, and even a girl or one boy that gets it is reducing the possibility of an infection being. So I highly recommend it. Both my boys got it. And hoping that many of your doctors have recommended it for kids. Many of us over 40 late with our pap smears. Usually the detection is done in cells that are shed during the pap smear. The testing can be added to the pap smear or done on its own as a blood test. It totally changed pap smears. We used to do pap smears with the onset of puberty or with a girl coming in and wanting birth control pills. We would do a pap smear before putting them on birth control pills. We stopped doing that because it was keeping girls from getting birth control, and don't do pap smears much before the age of 21. And then instead of repeating it every year, it's now stretched out every 3 years until age 65, because I no longer think it's necessary doing negative, because now we know that it's really associated. It's just the blue. You're not going to get cancer. So pap smears are negative after a few, which would probably be every 3 years. They are going to think that you need to do more testing. Or if you're in a monogamous relationship or you're not having any sexual activity, they're not recommending that you go for routine pap smears. Recommend that you get virus testing every 5 years, or it gets co-tested with the pap. If both of them are negative, then they may stop sooner than doing them every 5 years. Now, to be effective, because how many of us are going in for routine testing? We're staying out of our doctor's offices and postponing routine testing. So I think that a higher risk to talk about getting a pap smear if you haven't had one for a while. So risk factors would be a frequent change in sex partners, unsafe sex, people who have AIDS usually do yearly pap testing on them. AIDS, because of sexual activity, is mostly young people. A history of venereal warts, and you would have told those. Those were an HPV infection. And infections, which is STD, seems to provide a more favorable environment. It's like a co-infection for the virus. And it is something to pay attention to if chlamydia infections that, again, you might want to be sure those pap smears are up to date, and not having the papillomavirus vaccination. As far as we can tell, this is almost 100% effective after years of its vaginal cancer. This could be related to an extension of cervical or endometrial cancer. It is very infrequent. It 5% of the cancer in this area. It is a cancer of older women. It can be very indolent, silent, and any symptoms until it's progressed to the point where you can't ignore what's going on there. If you have had treatment for other cancers, sometimes that can result in vaginal cancer. Mother at 75 had it as a result of radiation for another cancer, and she went through treatment and to 95. It's worth paying attention to and getting on top quickly. Again, it usually presents as bleeding, discharge, or if the cancer is quite large, it will put pressure on the bladder, and it's often found. And then all the way to the outside of the body, this is vulvar cancer. This is the part that you can see and inspect. Then vaginal cancer. Any age can get it, but it's most common after menopause. It could be related to HPV. It is such an unusual cancer that we don't have data on what's going on with vulvar cancer. But it is the most easily detected and cured. It has a minor surgery, really, to remove the outer tissue, and it's cured. So it's much less if top chemotherapy, which means they can just put it on this, apply it to the skin that's affected, and get rid of the cancer that way. The signs would be itching or a raised patch of skin. It's often going to be found on labia or the perineum around the rectum. A biopsy may take the whole little small spot, so the diagnosis is curative. So don't ignore it, and don't be ashamed to talk to your doctor if you've got down there and itchy and it isn't going away. Doctor, take a look at it, and rest assured that if it is a cancer, it's easily dealt with, but don't delay. All right. So anytime we talk about cancer, it's one of those things. How do I avoid it? You know, how do I get of the having it? And we all know that that's pretty difficult. It requires just being alert and act in your own care. But there are advances in surgical techniques, so there's less being involved, and a lot of the cancers are lived by what we call the surgeries. And we now have a whole new branch of chemo for actually using cells to destroy themselves by making antibodies to the tumors. And my friend that I was telling you about with the swollen legs has just an immunotherapy that's going to work for a particular tumor, and we are crossing our fingers to take her soon. And the nice thing about immunotherapy, it's targeted, so you get a lot less of the miseries that so often go along with chemotherapy. Okay, genetic is much more common. We have a better understanding of male carriers There, in some cases, as and did with the breast cancer that she had, there is surgical removal organs, which can, it's not 100%, but it does. If you know you mean worried, this is one of the things you can do, particularly if you've had children. And we have a whole body of palliative care to help people get through the cancer treatment and if it comes to that end of life treatment. And we've got better self-care. I think we're paying more attention to our weight, our exercise. Smoking has decreased to the point that it's now less than 20% in the United States. In the 1950s, it was over 40%. And of telehealth, we can talk to our parents. Please don't ignore the symptoms that we've talked about. And that's
Thank you so much, Dr. Hand. That was really informative, and I think it's something we all need to pay attention to, and it's good to be educated on these symptoms in particular.
Is really
See, Dr. Hand is buffering, and Celeste, what do you recommend in this?
Oh, I just muted myself because I kind of thought we had finished. Do you want to do something else?
No, I'd like for everybody to have a few minutes to ask you questions if they have any particular questions.
That would be fine. If we can entertain questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. Sally?
Yes, Dr. Hand, thank you so much for this really informative presentation. One of the things that you mentioned is bleeding. What if you are, in my case, for instance, an early hysterectomy patient? So, and you would miss ovarian cancer symptoms perhaps because you would not have the bleeding that would be associated. Do you have any thoughts about what to ask a doctor, you know, when you go in for your next treatment? Because obviously I am over 60 years old, so I'm very interested.
And I know that in some cases, when the surgery was done, they left the ovaries, particularly if it was done when you were younger, like for endometrial like that, then did leave the ovaries because they didn't want to put you in pause, anybody, into, and leave those as, if there's family history that you have would make you think, more seriously about any symptoms. But yes, the main symptoms of ovarian cancer are going to come because the tumor increases in size in the area of the in the ovaries. And so your symptoms are going to relate to bloating, down, pressure on the drainage from your legs, so you get the swollen legs. And I have that even having your ovaries removed does 100% remove the possibility of ovarian cancer, because sometimes bits of tissue are left behind.
Oh, okay.
And so I've seen one case in my career of a woman who had everything removed 20 years before, and ovarian cancer, and it really stymied us for a while to figure out what was going on. But it is usually when you have all of the organs removed, what they call a TS or a total abdominal, and they take the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. And so that's the BSO that they will, initials they will add, is circumstance. That happened to me some years ago, and I was kind of glad to have that all gone. But those are the symptoms to be concerned about. They're subtle. It's not going to like come up you in the face. It's going to be like, nah, it's kind of uncomfortable to sit. I've just got one leg that's really staying swollen. Oh, that's helpful.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Pat Warren, I think you had a question.
Yes, I have a question about the HPV testing. Is that a standard thing, or do you have to ask for it? Or
Pretty much, it's become standard with the PAP, and it's at the same time that they do the PAP in the vaginal area there. It can be done with a blood test as well, but usually they just take some fluid, test it.
So is it something that's fairly new? It seems like I asked about it years ago and they didn't have a test for HPV. But
right. When we got the announcement that what caused cancer, it was very and I was that was over 25 years ago. We didn't have a vaccine. That vaccine's been around for has been going on pretty routinely for the last 20 years. And I think if you're getting pap smears, maybe not do it because you're older and you haven't you've always had negative paps, you haven't had any of warts, doing it. And you can talk to your doctor about it. Say, well, what do you think? Is this something that I should have done? Or if you have daughters, you might want to ask them on their behalf, or tell them they should ask their doctor testing on me, get my pap smears. But in older women who've had negative paps for years and years and years, no, they don't anymore, because it's like proof of the pudding. You've eaten it. And you haven't had any evidence that the wart virus is there.
okay, so does the HPV only prevent it, or is there a cure for it? The vaccination.
The vaccination is a preventative.
Okay.
It's not curative. Okay. If you have the virus, if you have wart, there are treatments that can be done to treat the virus if it's found. The fact that virus, by the way, doesn't mean 100% you're going to get the cancer. There's like 20 different subtypes, and it just depends on which one you got. Subtype usually. So it's something that you have a chat with your doctor, or if you have daughters that you're bring it up as a topic of conversation. Mm-hmm. I do in all sub-teens though, boys and girls. Boys can get the throat cancers, the rectal cancers around the head of the people. So it's not just that get cancers from this virus. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Hand. I think that was really an informative. Is there another question?
I have a question.
So much, and we appreciate Elizabeth.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Hand. This is very helpful. I'd like to add another warning to women, which has to do with bladder cancer, which can present the same way as the vaginal and vulvar cancers. And it's often missed because the way it presents is like having a UTI. So be aware of that, please.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes, and another sign, blood in the urine.
But not always.
No, not always.
Not always. If your body seems strange, go to a doctor. Do not wait. And keep on pestering, even when they say, oh, well, it's just because you're older, which is,
That's very good advice. Yeah. We're given a voice, we need to use it.
Yes.
If we feel,
and we need to encourage, and we need to each other. So if you have a friend who says, things just aren't right, and I'm just really scared, I don't want to go to my doctor's office, be a support, because that can be life-saving.
This is true. Okay, well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your talk, and I think we all learned a good bit. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay. Hey, I think we're going on to new business now, and we have the voting on rule number 9, holding a virtual meeting. This is a brand new standing rule for us, and we have a motion on the floor. Let's see, we have to change it. So let us prepare to vote. And here is the motion. So to vote, we have here the rules. Quorum, at least one representative from a majority of the District II chapters. Shall submit the list of its eligible representatives to the District II Director and Secretary, and this was done. The 3 chapter voting representatives will be reconfirmed by the chapter regent during the roll call to establish a quorum. The chapter representative shall be selected according to each chapter's bylaws. Any motions to be presented before District 2 shall be emailed to the District 2 Executive Board, including chapter regents, preferably 30 days prior to a meeting. If necessary, additional motions may be presented during the meeting under new business. The motion is presented.
You, District Director, has been approved by the state parliamentarian as well as the state vice regent, who is the liaison for all districts to the state board of directors. So they have reviewed this and approved it. The motion reads, I move to accept the new CSSDAR District 2 Standing Rules Addendum at the October 24, 2020 District 2 meeting, detailing the parameters of holding an electronic meeting. The maker of the motion, Colette Ferguson, Regent Sierra Amador Chapter. Seconder, Linda Winters, member Gold Trail Chapter.
Here are the rules for discussion. The member raises their virtual hand to speak. The district director calls on one person at a time to speak. No one can speak twice until all who want to be heard have been heard. Does anyone else have anything to say about this motion? I'm seeing no call-in user. Does anyone have a question or a comment? Okay, let's go ahead and proceed then. A motion has been made to accept CSSDAR District 2 Standing Rule Number 9, detailing the parameters of holding an electronic District 2 meeting. Here are the rules for voting. No one may have more than one vote. There is no proxy voting. A majority vote is required to pass this motion. Voting will take place using a roll call of District Executive Board and 3 chapter representatives. District 2 Secretary Sally Holcomb, please conduct a roll call and vote.
Thank you, Madam District Director. Officers and chapter delegates, when your name is called, please respond by saying either yes or no. Assistant Director Carol Ann Nolan.
Yes.
Thank you. Chaplain Danielle Eisen.
Yes.
Secretary votes yes. Registrar Patricia Warren.
Yes.
Thank you. Captain John Oldham Chapter, Regent Cindy Eberhardt.
Yes.
Vice Regent Sally Ramsey.
Yes.
Thank you. And State Corresponding Secretary Chapter Delegate Emily Bowling.
Yes.
Thank you. Chief Solano Chapter, Regent Angie Goodson.
Yes.
First Vice Regent Ronan Lentz.
Yes.
Treasurer Chapter Delegate Kim Stone.
Yes.
El Dorado Chapter, Regent Ruth Swan Johnson.
Yes.
First Vice Regent Kathy Graham. Kathy, did you unmute?
Yes.
Thank you, Kathy. Excuse me, just a minute. Treasurer Chapter Delegate Janice Pringle.
Yes.
Thank you. El Toyon Chapter, Regent Gail Woolley.
Yes.
Vice Regent Sherry Fenley. Sherry, are you there? Unmute. Okay. And chapter member Marilyn Rousey. Okay. Immigrant Trail, Regent Carol Zobel.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Regent Beth Fowler Carducci.
Yes.
Paula Seelig, Parliamentarian Chapter Delegate.
Yes.
Thank you. General John A. Sutter Chapter, Regent Jessica Roberson.
Yes.
Chaplain Chapter Delegate Peggy Agnes. State Regents Project Chair Chapter Delegate Gail Ann Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you. Gold Trail Regent Pat Pedersen.
Yes.
Second Vice Regent Chapter Delegate Elise McKenzie.
Yes.
Chapter Member and Delegate Susan Brooking.
Yes.
Thank you. Lake Tahoe Chapter Regent Rosemary Manning.
Yes.
Vice Regent Laura Trimberger.
Yes.
Chapter Member and Delegate Audrey Langmeyer. Okay. Rio Cosumnes Chapter, Regent Dallas Love. Dallas, unmute, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Regent Gail Mooney.
Yes.
Thank you. And Corresponding Secretary Chapter Delegate Diane Tibor.
Yes.
Thank you. Sacramento Chapter, Regent Janet Fulton.
Yes.
Second Vice Regent Chapter Delegate Marcia Wiley.
Yes.
And Chapter Member Chapter Delegate Mari O'Brien.
Yes.
Thank you. Sierra Amador Chapter, Regent Colette Ferguson.
Yes.
First Vice Regent Judy Lane.
Yes.
Carol Olney, Second Vice Regent and Chapter Delegate. Is Carol with us today, or do I call your alternate, Barbara McMahon?
Carol was with us today. I don't know if she just can't hear us. And Barbara McMahon, I don't believe is with us today.
Carol is muted, it looks like. This is Ann.
Okay. Carol, could you unmute, please? Okay. All right, let me take a count, just a second. Madam Director, we have 31 votes that have been taken. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 where votes were not made, so not counted. So the motion has passed. We have more than a majority of required votes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Secretary. The motion has passed, and so we are delighted. So we have official ways to do our electronic meeting voting procedure. So thank you so much. So now we just have announcements. So what's new? Don't forget the November 8th, 2020, we have the annual California Heritage Tea. It will be virtual. The history of the Heritage Tea and an insider's look at the California State Society's headquarters. And it looks like on 12 December, we get to meet in person. We may have to mask, but, and there's plenty of space at the Glendora House in Glendora, at the State House, for us to physically distance. And
Bruce, you have the state regent.
Pardon? What was that, Celeste?
You have Susan, the state regent, that would speak.
Oh, Susan, go ahead.
Sorry.
Madam District Director, just an update. Glendora is not allowing us to open. They will not be having the parade this year. So we will be doing a virtual Christmas tea from Glendora.
Okay.
I'm sorry, ladies. There's nothing would give me greater pleasure than being able to be together in Glendora. And while we do have the space to social distance, and we have the ability to wear masks and do all of that, LA County. Celeste, can you please mute? LA County is not opening up. So unfortunately, makes me sad to say it, but that's a no on the Christmas tea. One other announcement while I have your attention, because Sharon Moss and I have to leave to go and do another installation this morning. If there are any of you that would like to work at Continental Congress, volunteer to work, if you're planning on going to Continental Congress, could you please let me know as soon as possible, and let me know you just shoot me an email on that. Let me know where you'd like to work. You can either email me at region@californiadar.org or at my personal email, design4now@aol.com. But I need that information as soon as possible. Thanks so much. And Madam District Director, State Vice Regent and I are going to jump off now to go and install District 7 officers.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for installing us. It's always good to be official. And
we wish we could have done it a lot sooner, but we wanted to do it with your members present. So thank you, Madam District Director. I love seeing all of your faces. I miss you all terribly. And hopefully we can be together really soon in the first of the year. So bye, everybody.
It's great. All right. Thank you so much, Susan. So, well, that's news. So we will have a virtual meeting on the 12th of December, and the 19th of December is Wreaths Across America. And I think a lot of us are participating. Some are having Zoom virtual meetings. We're doing an in-person one. We're going to wear masks. We have a small community here. So December 19th, mark your calendar. It's a good thing. And January 23rd, 2021, can you believe it's just around the corner? We have a District II meeting hosted by General John A. Sutter, and it will be in person. Thank you, God. So I'm going to ask, if there is no other comment, I'm going to ask our chaplain, Daniel Eisen, to close this with a word of prayer. With the benediction.
Madam District Director, Madam
Yeah.
District Director, this is Carol Ann.
Yes, hi, Carolyn.
Hi, I just wanted to clarify, getting back to the Wreaths Across America. May we participate in our sister chapters if we would like to?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. For those of us that don't have, a chapter, it may not be participating, it would be nice if we could support our sister chapters.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah.
And Cece has said that she will put all the information on either email or Facebook so that we have access to participation.
Okay. So it's a good thing to order. It's a $15 wreath, so it's a nominal charge. And, you know, all of us have servicemen in our background, you know, our dads and our brothers and our sons, if we're old enough to have sons, and grandsons who are in the military. And it's even if they're still alive, you can do a different kind of wreath for them, but it's all $15 and it's a good thing to do for them.
Excuse me.
Yes, Paula?
Yes, Immigrant Trail chapter up in Auburn participates in the Auburn District Wreaths Across America. And how do I get that information on your, actually, that looks like my email. That is our order form. Sorry about that.
Celeste, she will get you the information, and
Yeah.
so that you understand it.
It's on there. Thank you very much, Celeste, whoever did that. Yes.
So if there's no other questions, I'm going to ask our chaplain to do our benediction. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam District Director. Will you please bow your head with me? Let us pray silently together, each of us according to our individual beliefs. Let us offer thanks for this virtual gathering, blessings for one another, and for absent friends. Let us be a source of hope for those in need and contentment for those who are less fortunate. Let us give gratitude for our opportunity to serve in the DAR. Let the feelings of love, kindness, and a well-directed yet gentle spirit always be reflected in our actions. And thank you to the El Dorado chapter and everyone that made this meeting today possible. Amen.
Thank you. It was a wonderful experience, and I learned quite a bit on cancer awareness from Dr. Hand. So I appreciate the program. It was really excellent. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. It was fun. And it was, yes, Paula? Oh, bye. Okay. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
No.
Bye.
Bye.
Fantastic job, Madam District Director.
In person. Mm-hmm.
We'll be sending out the General John invitation.
Yeah.
Bye.